Hey fellow glitchers, Mario Odyssey. It's a fun game, and there are glitches in it, so let's look at one. It's called the Talkatoo glitch. You've probably heard of it, and you're probably pretty bored of it by now, but just hang in there. Now before I begin, actually, I tend to be pretty touchy with spoilers, and I don't want to spoil anything for you, and if you haven't beaten the game by now, at least the story, then, well, I'll probably spoil a thing or two. But if you have beaten the story, that's pretty much as far as I'm gonna go. Yeah, that's it. Okay, the Talkatoo glitch. When Talkatoo gets hit right before or after you talk to him, the camera can get locked in place. The original method of doing this, which is the one you probably know about, is you throw a seed, or any object you can pick up for that matter, and throw it at him. And right as it hits him, you talk to him. He'll spin out, and then Mario will start talking with him, and then right after, the camera will zoom out and then zoom back in, and stay that way. And you can run around, and it's good fun. But to me, not enough. Alright, let's review some things about the camera. One, when people are off screen, you can't talk to them, or characters, or whatever you talk to. You can't talk to them, even if they're obscured by objects. They have to be in clear view, and you have to be standing in front of them, which that part doesn't really matter, because that's just when you press A. But that happens. And also, the telescopes, those green things that shoot up into the air, those things cause everything to spawn because it's a telescope and you want to see stuff. So that's going to be important. Now let's return to Talkatoo. You don't need a seed or anything you can throw, except, well, Cappy. But you don't need an object in the game, except for Mario himself. So you can jump over Talkatoo, throw your cap behind him, and then wait for it to just barely hit him. My kind of rule is, if you can fit a duplicate of Cappy between Cappy and Talkatoo, then that's too far away and you need to retry. But if you get it pretty close, then when you finish talking, you can expect the glitch to happen. And if you get it right, it will. But just sitting there and letting the glitch happen is just boring, and that's not the point of this. And I will use it in case I want to activate the Odyssey, which, as you'll see later, will affect the camera. The main point of this is that Talkatoo spins around after you talk to him versus before, as with the throwing an object at him method. And this allows you to move the camera away from him. And as I said, you can't talk to anyone that's off screen, so the glitch won't activate. But don't worry, it doesn't mean it's cancelled. It's actually stored, whatever that means to you. So next time you look at him, the camera will lock. Pretty interesting, right? Right. Well, you can go all the way across the map and then turn around, but chances are Talkatoo will be despawned, which means he's not active and the glitch won't happen. That's when you use the telescopes. And if he's in clear view, if there's nothing blocking him, then, well, the camera pans out between Talkatoo and whatever telescope you're using. Now, kingdoms are very diverse. Some kingdoms have Talkatoo, some don't. And that's it. Alright, so some kingdoms, they're big, some are small, some are islands, they're kind of flat, they're inside, they're different. And Odyssey is in different places in relation to Talkatoo, which is going to be kind of important, because that will affect the camera. And also keep in mind the telescopes, and whether or not they can see Talkatoo. Alright, let's go through each kingdom. These are kind of the camera angles I found that were the best. You can pretty much do whatever you want, I don't really care. But these are just some funny things you can do. In Cap Kingdom, first, this is a pretty small place, but there's a telescope in or behind the town or whatever. If you cross the bridge and keep going forward, you should find it. But store the glitch, turn the camera away. Actually, a tip for doing this is to aim the camera up and then start rolling the opposite direction. And either of those separately will help, but just simply walking away will not be fast enough. You have to move the camera in some way. And up is the best. And then you make your way to the telescope, activate it, and turn and face Talkatoo. And it actually matters which way you approach him from, and you can kind of get two different camera angles. One of them could be better than the other. Sometimes you're going to be kind of obscured by some objects. Like this way is, to me, better because you can see the whole tower and most of the town, and it doesn't look like you're in the back of it. And that's pretty much it for here. Cascade Kingdom, it has a dinosaur. And it also has a telescope down next to the Odyssey, which is conveniently able to see Talkatoo. So you store the glitch, go down to the telescope, go up, look at Talkatoo, and here you go. Isn't it magnificent? And if you go up and capture the dinosaur, you're in for loads of fun. It's almost like Dinosaur the platform, or side-scroller, or something. It's like Dinosaur the video game. Sand Kingdom. This is a very disappointing one. There's a telescope way over here, but when you go into it, Talkatoo is blocked by the cactus on the roof. It's literally like a yard away from him, and it's blocking it. The only telescope that works is the one that's like right next to the village, and that's pretty lame. But this lame camera angle is the best one I could get. So that's that. Wooded Kingdom. You can activate the glitch, and you want to lock the camera on Talkatoo, facing the Odyssey, and then maneuver your way to the Odyssey. The map is pretty confusing, so you should probably learn the route before you try to do it. So make your way to the Odyssey and then activate it. If you have moons, it'll play that little cutscene where the moons go into the Odyssey, and then the camera will change. But if not, Cappy will ask you if you want to travel to another world. Say yes, and then exit back out. And the same thing will happen. Anyway, this camera angle is pretty fun, because you can like see parts of both worlds, like not both worlds, both sides over this wall. The kind of foresty place and then the foresty place, you know? Alright, Lake Kingdom. This is a fun one, but it's hard. You have to get the camera locked in this general position, facing up with that little ledgy thing with the flower. But the flower is not there because it despawned. So you had to wall jump or something when you get there. But then you have to get there from this place where Talkatoo is, and then wall jump up, and then activate the Odyssey. And this should happen where the camera is inside the wall, and you can see all the sparkly stuff. And that's just pretty darn cool. Alright, the last kingdom. This kingdom is really small and lacks any amount of telescopes, so it's pretty boring. And also because it's small, Talkatoo is pretty much always spawned. So the biggest thing I could do was just go over to these, you know where it is. And then you look at him, and then this happens. And it's just, well, a camera angle. It's not like much, not very exciting or anything, so. Moving on. Metro Kingdom. Facing the Odyssey once again and activating it. The glitch. Activate the glitch with Talkatoo. And then make your way to the Odyssey using the electrical wire. Activate the Odyssey. And you get this semi-interesting view, which is kind of boring. But who cares about camera angles when you can make it night? Just make your way to the town hall, and when you enter it, well, you don't exactly enter it. You kind of, I mean, you're in the place, right? It's kind of weird. Because Mario teleports to that place, wherever the heck it is, and the camera angle stays where it is, in front of Talkatoo. But everything changes. Like the sky and all the lighting. And plus you get to listen to this awesome music. But it's outside. And also this is a really cool lighting effect. And I wish I could play with it. Because it's cool. Seaside Kingdom. Start the glitch and make your way to this telescope. Turn around this way, and you get this camera angle. Congrats. Snow Kingdom. This place is pretty claustrophobic, at least on the inside. And also that's where Talkatoo is, and that's kind of begging for the camera to be out of bounds. Because this is a pretty narrow hallway, and that's pretty much it. Talk to Talkatoo, store the glitch, go to the other side where you came from, where you came in, and then let the Talkatoo, and voila! The camera is inside the wall. The Luncheon Kingdom. Now this is pretty interesting. Not very exciting, but interesting. Because there's only one camera angle. No matter where you talk to Talkatoo from, it always just ends up like this. And you can store the glitch and go halfway across the kingdom to the other side of the mountain, but it'll just zip back to Talkatoo, and it's boring. But it's interesting. And boring. Alright, Bowser's Kingdom. It's pretty big. I mean, there's not a lot of area, but it's pretty spread out. Now, luckily for us, the Odyssey is on the opposite side of the map than Talkatoo. And there just so happens to be a pipe that connects them. So get the Talkatoo glitch like this, so you can see the pipe and face the Odyssey generally. Then make your way to the pipe, enter it, and then when you get out, go over, activate the Odyssey, and this happens. Can't get much better than this, just saying. And it's actually more than just this, because you can see Mario as a little tiny pixel or a couple pixels. He's small, but you can still play as him. And if you like get an inch away from your screen, you can just kind of see him there and actually technically beat it. Everything's loaded, I guess. But yeah, I got to the second part after the first electrical thingy, but those darn Pokeos killed me. They did that. Those darn Pokeos. Moon Kingdom. Pretty boring. Just another telescope one, except in space. And now, the moment you've all been waiting for. Actually, hold on one second. I need to explain something. When Mario talks to someone, he changes his animation. And the animation is him standing there nodding his head every once in a while. And there are some important things about this that we're going to need to take advantage of to get some of these glitches to happen. For the sake of simplicity, I've broken down some of these important elements and will try to make them make sense. Don't quote me on this, because I'm not a programmer. I just kind of understand how a game works generally, like not all the technical terms and stuff. So here's me trying to explain to you how this glitch works in kind of terms that I made up, because they make sense to me. Alright, the first thing that influences animations are actions. This could include a button press or moving the Joy-Con. Basically, you controlling the game. This could include you just jumping or whatever. If Mario is just standing there, you can do a couple things, but most things require you to do another move in order to do that move. If you're just standing there, you can't exactly do a dive. First you have to get into the air, then you have to ground pound, and then you can dive. Another thing is continuity. Basically, you holding down a button. If you want to roll or something, you have to hold down ZL the whole time, or else he'll just start running. Or if he crouches, the same thing happens for that. Or the third thing is timers. Timers are timers that are initiated by an action or events or whatever. But when an animation is played, sometimes it only lasts for a certain amount of time. No matter what you do, you can't cancel it, and you can't, well, sometimes you can cancel it, but you can't makes it last forever. Let's take the hat throw, for example. Mario will spin around and throw his hat, but then it'll just go back to normal. So that was just a timer. You didn't choose to go back to normal, but it happened anyways. And in that state, you can kind of move around, but you'll just kind of slide forward, and that's not really anything. It's so short that it just doesn't even matter. Alright, now let's look at how these can be applied to the glitch. The most game-breaking one is a timer, but let's start with the basics. Now when Mario activates the glitch, the game will try to get him to assume that animation of him just nodding, but sometimes it can't. Sometimes, well, let's say he's captured someone. In that case, he won't, because you can't talk to anyone like that, and he doesn't even have an animation like that. I didn't go too far down this rabbit trail, but basically if Mario's not interacting with an object or something, you'll pretty much always assume that animation, so that's what's important right now. And depending on what animation is playing, when the glitch activates, some of the properties of that previous animation will get carried over to the talking animation. When Mario is standing, he can change that standing animation just by moving around, which you can see just by standing and activating the glitch like that. You can just walk around and it looks pretty normal, so it can go by unnoticed. When you're crouching, it's a little bit more noticeable when you cancel it, because if you, let's say you just let go of ZL, then Mario will instantaneously start crouching and then get back up normally. Jumping can only last as long as Mario is in the air, but once he hits the ground, he'll change, so that'll interrupt the glitch, and that's that. Rolling is one that involves continuity. If you're rolling, you have to hold ZL the entire time, or else it'll just turn into a run. The last two involve timers. The first one is throwing your hat, like I mentioned before, but if you cancel it, you'll be stuck in that kind of sliding around movement thing, and you can control him if that throw lasted forever. Now, you can slide around and it's a bit hard to control, or at least hard to turn, but he retains the lightweightedness from the throwing state, and so if you fall off a cliff, you'll just start slowly falling. And the last one is the ground pound. You can initiate the ground pound by pressing ZL in midair, but not before Mario does a little spinny thing. And this spinny thing is on a very short timer. You press ZL, and then it does that animation for a certain amount of time, and then down Mario goes. And if we could cancel that animation, we could get Mario to stand in midair. I mean, wouldn't it be so cool if we could, like, let's say get Mario into, like, the Jumprope challenge and get him to float there, and he would just get, like, well, infinite points. That would be pretty darn cool, wouldn't it? Alright, so what you need to do is activate the glitch with Talkatoo, go over next to the Jumprope. I don't care if you start jumping or not, that might be helpful for you, but you basically want to activate the glitch during that ground pound spin. So it could be a little tricky. I did it on like my first try, so I guess I just got lucky. And when you get that, yeah, you can just sit there forever. But sadly, the score caps out at 99,999, which is a pretty big bummer. I was wanting to get like 1,000,000 or something, because that'd be pretty funny. But sadly, you can't. And it took me like about 15 hours to get 99,999. So it took like a week or something to get 1,000,000. But that's pretty much it. To me, beach volleyball is horrible. I can't stand it. I still haven't gotten that moon. I haven't tried that much, but I don't want to because it's just so bad. And I tried to do it for that. If you stand above that one snaily guy, you can start volleying it back to him. But it's just so dynamic. The ball starts changing speeds and going in different locations and directions, and Mario's just one guy. He can't cover all those areas above him at the same time. And also, if you're right above him, the ball will just go through Mario because it doesn't have... there's kind of a buffer between the ball getting launched and Mario being able to hit it, so that's pretty sad. I'm not saying it's impossible. There's a chance that this could work. I just don't have I don't see it happening just casually. You need to have, like, you know, assistance from a program or something. I don't know. But that's a possibility. I didn't find it. If you can find a way to do this, I applaud you. And, well, that's pretty much the glitch. Thanks for watching. And if you like glitches as much as me, well, capture that subscribe button, and also be sure to follow me on Twitter if you want to get updated on random things I'm doing, or actually useful, not useful, important things that are related to my channel.